In a one-on-one session, we connect with your spirit guides and we identify the limitations, the blocks, the distortions, the programs that are running that keep you in a stuck state. These can be things like emotional allergies where you actually push away positive emotions. They can be addictive cycles that have you chasing an emotion over and over again to only not get the results you want and then to go back to the negative emotions. When we combine these and have them in a clear, concise way, we're able to have our mind at ease while our body allows the healing, both physical and energetical. And we do all of this in your one-on-one session. First, we'll identify with the mind what the negative perspective is, where the block is. Then we identify what the body needs in order to release this trauma, to not hold these programs anymore. And then we energetically incorporate various types of healing work so that your frequency and the non-physical parts of you can also get on board with this healing. A lot of times when people try to heal something, it's a lot like having a lot of bubbles surfacing up of emotion. And then we have a clearing or a healing and all the bubbles go away and all feels very calm and very together. And that usually lasts 2 weeks. And then we find more bubbles coming up. And so then we get more healing or we do more therapy and then the bubbles go and we feel at ease for a while. But wouldn't it be amazing if you could just get to that core, that bubble machine that's creating it all? That's what we do with the beauty perspective. We add perspective to the core. Why this machine, this part of us that we don't even identify as foreign from us, becomes part of who we are. It becomes part of our identity. We identify this core block and then we release that and the bubbles stop and everything that's connected to it moves. We're able to get to a deep, potent level that otherwise we haven't been able to access. We can use many modalities to try and get to the same result, or we can dive into the core, do what we need to do to go really, really deep into the places where we probably don't want to look, we probably don't want to access. But when we have somebody that can walk with us, that has been there themselves, that can guide us through it, we don't have to do it alone, and we don't have to feel alone as we integrate and activate the newest part of ourselves so we can live in full potency living. Oftentimes, we need somebody on the outside of us to help us to see where our blocks are and what we're missing. Because when something is a core piece of us, especially when it's an early childhood trauma or it's a sexual trauma, it becomes part of our identity and our personality. And in order to shed this, we get really scared because we feel like we can't shed who we are, or we're going to lose a part of who we are. But when we have somebody who can walk with us there and identify it in a clear, concise way without revisiting all of the traumas and every single time a pain came up, but to actually understand it from a higher perspective. Often we hold on to our traumas because they become part of our identity. We don't realize that the thing that we're holding, this negative perspective or this trauma or this addictive cycle or even entities attached to us that aren't part of us are there. And because we're so familiar with it and we're so used to it, we don't see it as separate from ourselves. We see it as part of us. It becomes who we are, and it becomes a story that continuously plays out over and over again. What if you could have somebody on the outside say, hey, honey, this piece right here is not you, and this is what it looks like. Then what happens is our mind is able to understand the programs. We understand why they're there, so we have compassion for ourselves. We're able to forgive ourselves for all that self-betrayal of what we let happen to us or the actions that we made that ended up in more pain and more suffering. And when we look at it that way, we're able to understand ourselves. And when we understand ourselves, then the mind doesn't need to hold it anymore, and it's able to release it. And then we're able to connect with the body, and the physical body is able to understand that there is a new program coming in. There is a new identity, a new way of being. And we use sacred sound therapy to activate that with the body because the body responds to sound. And then we have our energetic field and our energetic frequency, which gets to align into a more higher state so that we can manifest the life that we actually want, because it's all about alignment. And when the mind understands, when the body releases, then the energetic field is also in alignment. We are able to be all in alignment and actually get what we want and create our own experiences. Now, this isn't an easy path. We don't go shallow. We only go deep. And that's because our world is filled with shallow Our world can satiate our hunger to feel full in a second with a quick scroll or somebody telling us how amazing we are, but we don't receive that very deeply. If we want to receive deeply, we need to clean out what's blocking it deeply. And so when we go on these immersive healing experiences, when we sit one-on-one, we're going into the shadows. We're going into the depths of what we've created from our experiences, whether it's the actions we've taken or the ones that were taken upon us. And once we understand who we are and what we're capable of, we can shed this and then we can show up as we always wanted to be. But we're too scared or too limited in our understanding of who we were to actually be it. And the nice thing is you don't have to go alone. In fact, going with a group is more impactful and heals with a faster momentum than if we tried to do it alone. I'm Hollie Hope. Please join me at thebeautyofperspective.com.